last time we talked about magazines and the beauty industry. This time we're talking about sort of expanding that idea of what you see and how much it affects what you post and how you project your own beauty and your self-image. So kind of like Susie said, it's 2.0. It's still related to beauty, and this time it's just a little bit more intimate to your own personal beauty. Okay, so this is Shades of Beauty Part 2. And this is a GIF that I made full of profile pictures. And I think I got a good range of photos. I don't think you know any of these people. I tried to scour the internet for people that don't go to Mizzou, so you shouldn't see any of your own pictures on. All right. So what does pretty look like on social media? Is sort of the question that I want you all to keep in mind as we go through the presentation. It's sort of one of those things that is subjective, obviously. Whatever you think is pretty may not be pretty to someone else, and I think that's sort of important as you sort of explore what we're talking about. I'm going to come back to this because I want to kind of get you guys talking first. But how many of you all watched True Life? How many of you all saw the episode? It's called I'm Having Unusual Plastic Surgery. It was like the first episode of this season. Saw it? What'd you think?
That's interesting. Was it the one where like they had butt implants?
She got butt implants, and then the day her sutures healed, she like got on Instagram and took almost nude pictures, and it was kind of crazy. So I'll show you all a clip of that later. But the at the end of the episode, she talked to her sisters, and she says that she was like, "Well, I got this because I didn't feel comfortable with my body, and now I feel like I can show the world a better version of myself." And then someone asked her, "What do you think will happen if your sisters wanted to get the same sort of corrective or cosmetic procedure?" And she kind of stumbled through. So we'll go to that later, but I just want to know if anyone else saw it. So that was pretty interesting. I already told y'all that. Okay, so there'll be a poll later, and you guys can use your cell phones. It's anonymous, and I'm just sort of gonna ask questions. It might be a little easier than you all like raising your hand, and maybe you'll feel more comfortable like being anonymous. So does anyone know the answer to this question? Like, do you know if it's true or false? Does anyone have like a guess as to how much Google owns on Instagram and Facebook and stuff? Anyone? Guess. True? True?
Not true.
Not true? Any? They're only. It's sort of true. Maybe.
I think it's true because I have a lot of friends that are like in academia who are professors and people like that. And if you Google their name, like it'll pull up pictures of them from like articles they've published and things.
Yeah. Has anyone ever?
You can't do anything about that.
Not at all. It's there forever. So here's the deal. Google owns the right to public images, and they sort of license images to all these other social networks. I'm going to skip around. I'm not going to go in order of this PowerPoint. I'm just going to skip around. So they own the rights to images. Facebook owns Instagram. They also have a clause in their agreement, like the check the box if you agree. They can use the pictures that you post on Instagram and the pictures you post on Facebook for licensing and for whatever else they do. They can also give them to Google, and Google can do whatever they want. And Google is huge. So there's that. Twitter also has the same sort of connection with images. If you post the image and it's not private, prior to you making it private, whatever you posted is public use. Anyway, just FYI. I don't know. I sort of, after I found that out, I was kind of like, well, I don't want the world to have access to every picture that I've ever posted. So it was just interesting. And Tumblr is the same thing. So it's just like all the images that you post at some point could be public images, and I just thought that was interesting and sort of scary.
Even if your profile is private, right? Because you're putting it on their website.
Yeah. We'll see. Like privacy on some of these sites is only private by your choosing who can follow you or who can look at your stuff. Doesn't mean that the images themselves are private. It just means that what you are allowing people to see from your social network is private. But it doesn't mean that it's not being used for something else somewhere on the bloggist Google Tumblr sphere or whatever. And then this is sort of how we're going to segue into the next thing, which is the pictures that you post of yourself, and how those pictures are like sort of chosen. How many of you all take more than one picture before you post the final picture of yourself? Like, hello, I do it too. So, like, you go through a process when you're about to post a picture, and some people take 2 pictures, some people take 4. I've taken like 6 pictures before, and I sort of sit back and I'm like, well, who am I really trying to impress with this picture? Like, once I post it, I mean, it's not a representation of me forever. Sometimes I like fix my hair, and then I like go to bed, and it's like, but I didn't look like that before I took the picture. I took the picture of myself, and then I edited and I did all this stuff on Instagram, and I don't look like that anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay. Sorry. All right. So, how many of you all use filters on your pictures? I have to be honest. And why do you all use filters? Anyone, throw it out. Come on.
Well, originally, before I joined the iPhone world, I used the filters because I had a crappy camera.
Okay.
So, out of vanity, I would try to make them look a little better. I don't use them as much now, but when I do, I don't know, it depends. Like if I want to have a vintage feel or something, or maybe there's that temple I'm trying to hide, and Nashville helped me do it. I don't know.
Nashville.
Nashville's a good one.
That is a good one. There was an entire blog post dedicated to the Nashville filter. I read it and I was like, yo, like this is like someone who made the filter described how and why, and it was the most interesting thing I ever read. But what I caution you all with is that sort of changing all these things on a photo changes how you look at yourself. And so if you're changing all the if you're editing your pictures and you see this like flawless person on a picture, and then you look in the mirror and you see yourself. Everyone has flaws, no one's perfect, but you look at those pictures and you look at the mirror, and it sort of becomes this battle between which version of yourself you want to represent and how you want to represent yourself on a social network, and it's sort of hard. And I think that that's sort of the question we have to ask is, are we fixing ourselves on these pictures to represent ourselves or to represent what we want ourselves to look like? Sounded like a conundrum. Okay.
You know what, Jazz, to even add to that, I was looking for another class on like the various beauty apps that are here. And they have like this new app, like makeup or something like that. But it's to the point now where it like smooths out the picture where you don't even look real.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to notice on Instagram like so many women using this app. And it's like, it's so smoothed out, like you know in Photoshop, like you know like this is not you.
Well,
But you see so much of it, and I think, you know, when you say like you look at it, you battle with what's really in the mirror, like, you know.
well, it is hard. If everyone on Instagram looks perfect, then of course you don't want to put a picture of yourself looking, well, I do have a pimple today, but I have Nashville, I have Walden, I can change this. This can be fixed. Like, but for who though? That's the big, like, you have to fix it for the right reasons. Oh, you don't have to do anything, but you should. I encourage you to, be aware of that. And also, you know, we talked about women of color and how the beauty industry sort of caters to a certain identity and that women are lightened. I don't know if any of you all came last year, but we talked about how Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez and Eva Longoria have all been photoshopped for different marketing. So Beyonce, when she was in Essence, looked a little different than the Beyonce in Elle. And the same thing goes for Eva Longoria and Jennifer Lopez, and especially for women of color when we're dealing with this large spectrum. For women, period, everyone looks different. And so lightening and darkening, like, you can darken your pictures, you can lighten your pictures, you can make them look softened around the edges, you can do all this stuff. Are we photoshopping ourselves though? Because like this picture of Kerry Washington, this one is the original, although I'm sure that the photographer used some sort of like something. But then this one is like with the Amora filter on Instagram, and more than likely when you're going through these pictures, you see the lighter version sort of smooths out all this stuff, and it's very easy to just be like, oh, that one looks perfect. And you have to sort of think about why that one looks perfect and why the lightening is in some pictures and why you don't want to look darker in other pictures and all this stuff. Okay, so I'm about to show you guys a quick list. Complex does these lists. I don't know if anyone reads Complex magazines. Sometimes they're a little problematic, but I found this and I thought it was really interesting because you'll notice something. once I open this link. And this was Instagram's hottest selfies of the summer. Everyone is clothed in these pictures, but if this is anything that you don't like, I totally understand. These are kind of like those pictures that people post that you go like, oh, really? Like, I don't know. Or you don't. Or you might be cool with it. But I just want to show you guys really quick. And how quickly all these photos start to look the same. Oh no, it's all good. Okay, so these are pictures. I'm gonna just click through them. I'm not gonna stop and talk about each one, but unless it stops me, in which case I'll go to another slide. But these are all selfies, right? How many of you all take selfies? I think, did I ask that already? Did I ask that already? No? How many people take selfies? It's sort of normal now. Okay. This is freezing. I'm gonna just. You all get it, right? Like those are all gonna look the same. So, okay. So have you ever wondered if there's more to life other than looking obviously deliciously good looking? That's a quote from Zoolander, one of my favorite movies, and also pretty appropriate because we're about to talk about selfies. Okay. So we develop these identities. We have all these sort of people that we want to impress and look good to. I sort of just family, strangers, friends, and yourself, because you also want to look good to yourself. And these are just a few of the cornerstone ideas that I think we all, at least some of this is applicable to your family. You want to look like a role model. You want to look mature. You want to look professional. Maybe you might want to look like grown up. To yourself, you want to feel confident and beautiful and strong. To your friends, you want to seem fun and adventurous and risky. You want to feel like a leader. And to strangers, depending on who the group of strangers is, you want to look interesting. You want to look informed. You want to look hot. You want to look whatever the end is. That's what you want. And I think that's as we examine which identities influence you, what you post. It's important to understand what those are. Does anyone have anything to like maybe add or questions? I guess does this make sense? Okay, about to take a poll. Okay, so while we take polls, I'm going to read a quote from you. It's called "The Cult of the Selfie" by Amy Gray. It's a quote from an article I read on. She has like a technology blog, and it says, "Far from being just a human connection, selfies can be a competitive request for approval," according to psychologist Bill Campos. Campos, who specializes in teen and relationship issues, likens selfies to beauty pageants, a drive to get feedback and validation from others for ourselves, and to provide mass meaning to what used to be small mediums. The psychologist has also likened the behavior to online gambling. And so it can be sort of habit-forming and addicting to take selfies. I know that because I do it. Post a picture, and you sort of want that click and that like from people. How many of you all, well, that's a poll question, but think about this. And think about how many pictures you've taken down because no one's liked them or because it didn't get enough likes. And you thought it was like the best damn picture. You're like, okay, nobody likes this. All right, I'm gonna delete it. I'm gonna take it later. So yeah, that's sort of something I thought was really interesting because I never thought about taking pictures as addicting, but in this world of social media, you sort of just do it. We take pictures of everything, and like everything's online. So most of you all posted pictures on Instagram. Okay. None of you all responded with Twitter. But it's funny how you can post something on Instagram and then share it to Twitter and then share it to Facebook and then share it to whoever. All right, so let's see. There's another question.